Peace and blessings be upon you all in Yeshua precious name, for he is Lord. All glory given to the Most High Yah, the Lord of all creations, the Lord of hosts, the Alpha and the Omega. Family, your brother, we're going to get into the series of Abram. Family, we are. We're going to go through his whole complete life of the patriarch, Abram, the father of the faith, family. And you know how your brother is. We do an in-depth breakdown of every single great thing that they did, family, throughout the Bible. So we take the whole person and who they are, and we break down they whole of every single thing that they did before the eyes of God and they whole situation to make these things more clear to you. So we will be getting into our studies of Abraham, family. So I would like to first, you know how we do things. I would like for you to sit back. I would like you just to sit back, family, and listen to the whole complete story of Abram. And then you know how your father works, family. He's going to give us the revelation next time we pick up the series again, because you know you serve a father that has all power, that has all strength, all might, all glory given to the Most High Yah, the Lord of all creation, the God of the heavens and the earth. So when we come back with these series again, we're gonna have a whole lot of teachings and revelations from your father. So just hang back and sit back, and it might take me a little bit of time, and then I might have to get a couple pronunciations, because I like to say names right, like Sagat. You know what I'm saying? I like to say their names right. But even though that's not even a problem, because you still gonna get the whole definition of their story. This one is the Let's see how that one looks. Okay, now Abraham came from the seed of Shem. Noah's son Shem had his son Apaxid. Apaxid had his son Sola, had a son and named him Elbar. And Elbar had a son and named him Peleg. Then Peleg had a son and named him Reo. And Reo grew up and he had a son and named him Serag. Sag. And Sag had a son and named him Nahor. Nahor lived and became a man and had a son and named him Toroth. Now, let me stop right here. Now, Toroth is Abraham's daddy. You know what I'm saying? That's his daddy. You know what I'm saying? That's his father. Abram's dad name is Toroth. His dad, you know what I'm saying? And before all of those was genealogy, his grandfathers leading up to his birth. Either it be Rio, either it be Elbar, Peleg, Apaxit. All of these is his grandfathers. Abram. So it's 8 generations since the son of and who does it all start from? Shem. Noah's son. You know what I'm saying? Shem. 8 generations from Shem all the way down to Terath. Excuse me. This is the 8 generations of Shem's descendants before Abram, because Terath is Abram's father. So Terath had begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Abram's brother died before his father's eyes in the land of the Chaldeans. Then Abram and his brother decided to take wives for themselves. Abram chose Sarah, and his brother Nahor took Michelle. Abram's father died in the land of Haran. Terth was 205 years old when he died. Now, after this, God told Abram. So he lived to be 205 years old. But we know Abraham's brother, Haran, he died. He died, family, in the land of the Chaldeans. I don't see anything more interesting than that from that bit of information, besides from the fact that it's 8 different generations before you get to Shem, and that's Noah's descendant. And all of this is we're talking about taking place after the flood, because Abram lived only a couple generations after the flood. Okay, now, okay, God told Abram to get out of your country. That's what he told him. He said, pack your stuff up, because he already had Sarah. He was already married to Sarah. Because him and Nahor had chose their wives. But God told Abram that he wants you to get up. Now, now after after this, God told Abram to get out of your country, away from your family and your father's house, to a land where I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. Because that's when he took Sarah right there. But God is telling him he got to get up out of his country now, though. It's time for that travel. So Abraham did what God was asking of him, and he was 75 years old when he left his father's land. He also took Lot, his nephew, his wife, and all of their possessions they had made in Haran, and they departed to the land of Canaan. So Abram on his journey passed through a place in Shechem by the Terebinth tree, and Moriah. The Canaanites were in the land, and the Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your descendants I will give them land, and there he built an altar. I will give the land, and there he built an altar to the land who had appeared to him. Then they traveled through the mountains east of Bethel, and there Abraham pitched his tent in Bethel and made another altar, and there he called on the name of God. So he set back off on his journey, head toward the south. And you got to bear with your brother, because I wrote these all on pieces of paper. Now there was great famine in the land, so Abram headed down to Egypt, because the famine was so severe in the land. Now Sarah was a very beautiful woman for the eyes to behold. So in fear that the Egyptians would kill him and take his wife, so he told his wife Sarah to say that Abram was her brother and not his wife. Now, as the Egyptians in their territory, the men seen that Sarah was pleasing to the eyes. When when the Pharaoh in the land seen her, he requested her to be brought before him, just as Abram was thinking. So the Pharaoh was God. He was good to Abram, thinking Sarah was his sister. But for the lust of the Pharaoh, God plagued him because of Abram's wife Sarah. So Pharaoh knew what he had did before the eyes of God. He called Abram and asked him, Why? Why have you done such a thing as this to tell him that Sarah was his sister and not his wife? So Pharaoh made Abram take his wife and all that he possessed. The father blessed him with in the land of Egypt. God made him very rich, and he departed, because Pharaoh was in fear of God, and he let him go. And you know your brother, I'm for to go through the whole complete story of him, family. So you know it's good, family. You know it's good. So just sit back, take the time, and get and absorb the whole full story. You know what I'm saying? He's leaving. He's leaving Egypt now. He's no longer in Egypt. I had a gooder picture of what it looked like, but I don't see that one on here. I guess, and I'm sorry, family, it didn't download. So the Pharaoh was, no, we read that. So Pharaoh knew, yeah, we read all of that. So why the time Abram was in Egypt, God was blessing him. He was. He was giving him all kind of sorts of stuff, all kind of good stuff, enriching him, all the things that he had, family, every single thing that he had when he went down, because at that time he's seen in the land that it was great famine. And anytime famine is really mentioned in the Bible, you couldn't imagine how horrible it was for people to hear that there's nothing growing out of the ground. You can't buy wheat from the south. You can't get corn from the east. You know what I'm saying? You can't get corn stock from the west. It's looking bad, family. So Abraham and Sarah and and his nephew Lot traveled out of the land of Egypt. God blessed him and made him rich. He made him rich in his livestock and his silver and his gold. So they traveled to a place they were in the beginning of the journeys. Between Bethel and All, where he made the first altar, and there he called out the name of God, meaning the place of prayer. Now God blessed now God blessed the house of Lot, and his countenance grew to where Abraham and Lot could not share the land together because of riches and resources of the land. Abraham herdmen and Lot herdmen had arguments and were bitter and disputed about the land. At this time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites dwelt in the land. So Abraham asked Lot to separate from him, and whichever land is good, and which they own to take it, and he would be his opposite to the left or to the right. And Lot seen that the plains of the Jordans was well watered everywhere, beautiful, lush, and green, just like when you first travel up to Zohar, up to the land of Egypt, before the times of Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. It's so he chose the land east of the Jordan, but kept traveling almost close to Sodom. Abram dwelled in the land of Canaan. Now the men of Sodom was exceedingly wicked before God's eyes. Now the men of Sodom was exceedingly wicked before God's eyes. God told Abram that the land in which you are northward, southward, eastward, westward, I will give these things to your descendants forever. and would make your descendants as the dust of the earth, to where we cover the earth like the sand. There is no man on the face of the earth that could count this number. It's as the sands of the edge of the sea, and made Abram walk to this land from the east to the west, to the north, to the south, for he has given it as dominion to his future generations of his seeds. So now he traveled back to the Terebinth tree of Moriah in Hebron, where he built the temple for the Lord. Now time passed, time passed in the land. Now time passed in the land. Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Cladolamar, king of Elm, Tradel was the king of the nations, at war with Bara, king of Sodom, Barsheh, king of Gomorrah, Sinad, the king of Admath, Shabero, king of Zebulun, I'm sorry, family. Zebuah, Bula, king of Zoar. All these kings and great cities joined together in the valley of Sodom. Hold on, family. I'm sorry. I think I flicked it off. Now there it go, right there. Sodom, Zeboim. Now let's get back, family. I'm sorry. A valley of Sodom that is in the Salt Sea. 12 years they served the king Cladolamar. 13 years they rebelled in the 14th year, and the king who were with him attacked Rephaim in Ashtaroth, Karnaim, Zuam, Ham, Emim, Sheth. I'm sorry, family. Kairoth. I got to get my proper pronunciation of this one. I'm sorry, family. Hold back. Kariah. That's what it is. Kariah. I'm sorry. Sheaf, Kariah, and Horites, Hertites, and the mountains of Sar, as of all El Baram, which is in the wilderness, family. So let me break this real down. So you have these five kings, right, family? You got all these kings meeting in Sodom, and basically they fighting for land and territory all up in Canaan. You got all these five different kings all linked together, and they're fighting against for all of this territory that you see. Like when they went against Ashtaroth and Karnaim and Zuam, and Ham and Haman and Sheth. Now, these are all different kings. You know what I'm saying? Shabara, the king of Zeboim. You know what I'm saying? Zeboim, the king of Athmath, the Arioch, the king of Alazar, Ramathal, all of these kings. You got all these different kings fighting, family, in this region right now. And you might say, how is that anything that's referenced into the story of Abram? But it's still significant because it means something, because it's in this timeline. And I want you to get a feel of who these people are, where they at, what it looks like, what is the factors doing it, all of it, family. Like, this is the picture of the battle, so to speak, in Sodom. You know what I'm saying? That is the actual battle in a picture of these people. You know what I'm saying? Then they turned back and attacked all the land of Kedesh. They attacked all the land of the Amalekites. Amalekites, and all of the Amorites would live in Hazun Tamar. Now, through the gathering of all these opposing kings and these nations assembled together to fight to the death for the total domination of these opposing nations. So let's go back, family. I'm sorry. Where is it at? Okay, now these kings gathering together, assembled together to fight to the death for the total domination of these opposing nations, fight in the valley of Sodom. Now the king of Sodom and Gomorrah fled, losing in the war, losing all their provisions. They wheeled and escaped to the mountains. So they took all their goods, and Abram's brother Lot, who was also in the land, and all of his house. Now one of the men escaped and went to find Abram. For Abram was still in Moriah near the terebinth tree. Eshcol and Aner were Abraham's allies, and when he heard that Lot was taken away by force, he armed his 300 servants and 18 trained servants, and they traveled to pursue them all the way down to Dan. He split up his men at night and attacked them and pursued them as far as Horbush, which is north of Damascus. So Abram took back all his brother's goods who was taken away, him, his wife, his daughters, and all the other people of his house. So in this instant in time, you have the kings, they losing to the opposing other kings. And you seen the kings of Sodom, they lost all their possessions. They lost it because they got robbed. You know what I'm saying? They was in war. You know what I'm saying? They was fleeing for their life. But in this process, Lot was with them. You know what I'm saying? They was with them. So they took them as slaves. They took them as all kind of slaves and stuff. So it took Abram to find these people after he armed all of his soldiers, and they went down there, family, and they killed all them people until they freed Lot. Okay, back to Damascus. Okay, now so Abram took back all his brother's goods who was taken from him. Yeah, we did that. So the king of Sodom seen what Abram had done and went down into Sheriff from the default of Cladamar and the kings that were with him. Malzadak, king of, I'm sorry, family. Okay, Malzadak, the king of Salem, brought out bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed Abram by the God of the heavens and the earth. Now the king of Sodom went, and he said, give me the people and keep the goods for yourself. But Abram refused to take all the goods from the king of Sodom, lest you say, I have made Abram rich. Just the portions of food the young men have ate, and to let Eshcol and Anar have their portion. Now after these times, the possession of the heavens, I'm sorry, family. The possessor of the heavens and the earth came to Abram. He came to Abram in a dream, and he told him that he was Abram's shield, and that he is now exceedingly great reward. Then Abram asked what God would give him, because he longed for a seed to take over his inheritance, because he had no children. So he called and made him walk on the side to see the night sky, and told him to look towards the heaven. Now, can you count the stars in the night sky? But this would be the number of your children if you could count the number. Then said, remember when I brought you out of Ur, the land of the Chaldeans, to give you it to inherit. After this, he made him sacrifice a 3-year-old heifer, a 3-year-old female goat, a pagan, a turtle dove, and a 3-year-old ram. He made Abram do this sacrifice as a covenant that God would make good on all that he promised. He made Abram, so all that what he promised, like he has him out here right now looking at the night sky. He promising him that, family. That's a promise that, and like your brother said, we ain't gonna get none of the lessons. We just going through the story. I just want you to get a feel of the story, because your father, like I said again, your father is a great father, and he will bring back revelations for all of us. Stuff that I just never even knew. I'm telling you, your father is good. Mighty, just, and true, family. Blessed be his name, in Yeshua's name. The Most High Yah is worthy. Okay, now, he would carry these things out to remember the promise that very night, great horrors of darkness came over Abram. Okay, now, where was I at? Right here. That very night, great horrors of darkness came over Abraham. He prophesied of his descendants will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and there they will serve them who afflict them 400 years, and that nation he will judge. Then they will leave with great possession, and that he would live to see a great age of life. That he would live a great age of life, the possessor, and that he would live to see a good age of life. After 4 generations, they shall return for their iniquities to God. He also made a covenant to Abraham, telling him he wanted to give him his descendants all the lands of the Canaanites, the Canaanites, the Canaanites, the Canaanites, Gershonites, the Jebusites. I'm sorry, fam. Jebusites, Gergonites, and Jebusites. I'm sorry, family. Now, not believing in what God told Abram, Sarah made Hagar, her Egyptian servant, lie with Abram. So at this point, the promise that was made, Sarah doesn't. She doesn't believe God. She doesn't. She really doesn't believe God, even though God told Abram what He said about her being a mother. She's sad. She's sad, and she's old, and her womb is already closed because out of 75 years, she ain't been able to give birth. Family, she's already an old woman. She's all old. You know what I'm saying? She's all old. She's all like 90 years old or something. You know what I'm saying? And she's not staying patient, so she gives Hagar to Abram. So let's keep going, family. Now, okay, Sarah made Hagar, her Egyptian servant, lay with Abram, and Abram took her and laid with her. Now you know they married now, right? He just married his concubine. You know that, right? She ain't even a concubine. She's a servant. You know what I'm saying? And she's still his wife. Cause all it takes is one time, family. That's why your brother told you. Now, okay, let's keep going. Now jealousy. Now jealousy made Sarah deal with Hagar harshly, and this saddened the servant girl, and she ran from her master's house into the wilderness. From her master's house into the wilderness, and the angel found her and asked her, what are you doing?" I hate when it does that, because I wasn't trying to do that. No, I thought I had one more picture of Hagar, but I didn't. I guess the other one I had was just this one, but I had more, but you know things, family. Okay, let's keep it going, family. Put that right there. Now, found her and asked her, what are you doing? The angel asked her, what are you doing? What are you doing out here? And by yourself? And she told him the dealings of her mistress and how she hated her, and after she gave birth to the child, and the angel told her to return back home and to submit yourself to your mistress. And he also said, God will bless her descendants exceedingly, to where they are to be a great in great numbers, and you shall have a son and name him Ishmael. That means God has heard my afflictions, and he will be in the midst of his brothers as a wild man, his hands on everyone and everyone hands on him. When Abram turned 99 years old, God came to him once more again and told him to walk before him as the blameless. That's the one where I missed that. When Abraham turned 99 years old, God came to him once more again and told him to walk before him as a blameless man, and I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply your descendants exceedingly. Then, by being in the presence of the Almighty God, he fell to the ground with his face in the dust in high respect of the Most High God. He told him that, I'm sorry, fam, I gotta take a drink of this little water. Okay, he told him that he shall be the father of many nations, and from your many nations shall arise kings, and I shall establish my everlasting covenant with you, your descendants, and their generations, all of them after you, this covenant. I will give them the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and will be their God. And you, Abraham, shall teach my children my ways and my wants, and you shall keep my covenant. Let me stop right here real quick. Now, at this time, God changed Abram's name to Abraham and Sarah's name to Sareth. The only difference is a H. You know what I'm saying? It's not that real difference in it. That's why I kind of kept that out. But he changed his name to Abraham. Now, and you, Abraham, shall teach my children my ways and my wants, and you shall keep my covenant and your descendants after you throughout all their generations. God commanded Abram to have all the children and the man and the servant circumcised in the flesh of their foreskin as a sign of the covenant between God and man, and promised to open Sarah's womb to give him a son, and she shall be the mother of many nations. Royal bloodline shall come from them that made Abraham fall to the ground laughing, his face to the ground. And he said inside of his heart, a child to be born to a man who is already 100 years old. When Sarah bore you a son, you shall name him Isaac, and my covenant shall be with him, and his older brother Ishmael will be the father of 12 princes, who I will make fruitful, multiply them exceedingly, and they shall be a great nation. This is sometime next year. Your wife will bore your child, and you and left Abram in that day on that time of that season. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Hold on, family. I'm sorry. Because that's when he made that when he made him do that sacrifice, after he told him that he made him sacrifice all that stuff at the altar. And even when the crows came to take all of that blood and all of that stuff, family, you see all that stuff off the altar. That was the covenant between them two, to remember, so he can remember what God promised him. So he had to do it, and the sacrifices, God made him sacrifice to remember the covenant and what he told Abram. Okay, now the flesh of the foreskin, we talked about that. Okay, the same time of the season next year. And as we going through this, I break down the story, but all of this is still in your Bible, family. It is. It's all up in your Bible. I could tell you it's Genesis, such and such and such, but we don't do that because I want you to read for yourself. But by me doing this, I know you getting a better understanding of the patriarch Abraham. You know what I'm saying? The father of the faith. And you're gonna do, after you see my research and how easy I did it, you're gonna want to go back to the story. You're gonna want to do your own research. You're gonna want to see these things to draw your own conclusions of these affairs and matters, family. Just that easy. And it doesn't even take that long, family. I'm telling you. Sometime after the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth tree in Moriah, as he was sitting in the doorway of the tent of the heat of the noon. So he lifted. I'm sorry, I got a better appreciation of this one. Hold on, family. Sometime after that, the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth tree in Moriah, as he was sitting in the doorway of the tent of the heat of the noon, the day. So he lifted his eyes and saw three men standing by him, and he ran from the tent to meet them, and he bowed himself to the ground. And Abram asked God if he was found find favor in his sight, to not pass on by your servant, but to please let me bring forth water to wash your feet for your long journey, and rest yourselves under this tree. And I will bring morsels of bread, so that you may refresh your hearts. So God told Abram to do as you say, and do as you have said, in nobility and generosity. So Abraham hurried to Sarah and told her to quickly prepare a fine meal baked with some cake for the God of heaven and the sons of God and his angelic soldiers. So Abraham ran to the herds and picked a tender, delicious looking calf and gave it to his servant and hastened to prepare it for his quest. So he took the bread, the butter, the milk, and the tender calf that was prepared for for him, and set it before God and his angels, and they stood by them under the tree as they ate. God remembered Abraham he reminded Abraham of the promise he made him at the appointed time. He told, and listening to what the Almighty said, it made Sarah laugh under her breath. God said to Abraham, "Why have Sarah laughed? Because she thought. I'm sorry, family. She thought she could." She thought it, so he said it. I'm sorry, family. But someone more again, God asked, cause I'm sorry. She didn't really speak it and say it around God, but she thought that in her heart, and that's what God said back to her. You said that. You know what I'm saying? She laughed. She laughed inside of her heart, family, and God heard it. So God told Abraham, Abraham, why is Sarah laughing at this? You know what I'm saying? And he looking at her because he didn't hear her laugh, and she denying it. She's denying that she laughed, but she didn't so much laugh with the speech, but she still laughed inside of her heart, family. Okay, now, because she owed her wound. Remember, her wound is closed. She's like 90 years old, family. Okay, now. Okay, now, God says she did. Then the men arose and looked toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham walked with them as they set off on the journey to Sodom. Hold on, family. I want my one picture. And don't you hate it when it's just right in your face? You're looking right at it, but you still don't see it. And the story is almost done too, family. It's not that much into it. And you might say, how can you break down these stories so simple? Remember, we only bringing out anything that is important, anything that is trivial, that doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's something. It's probably 3 whole hours or something that's so trivial that really doesn't mean anything, family. So you know how your brother is. I'm only sticking to the story to where it's bringing out every meaningful thing that he did. Okay, we could just leave this one right here. Okay, where was we at? Okay, Abraham walked with. Okay, yeah. And the Lord said to himself, shall I hide from Abraham what I am doing, since I shall make him a great, mighty, blessed nation? And he commanded him to order his children to keep and follow all the commandments, and to keep the ways of the Lord by bringing them into righteousness and justice. And I will bring forth my promise. I will give him. So the Almighty told Abraham about the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how their sins is very grieve, and I have to see for myself what has been done all altogether according to the outcry that has come to me against them. And the two angels started walking toward Sodom. I don't like it when it does that. Okay, now they start walking towards the Sodom. But God still stood in the presence of Abraham. And Abraham came near to God and beseeched him honestly, and and required about the righteous being destroyed, right beside the evil, and asked the Almighty, would you destroy Sodom if there were only 50 good against the people of Sodom? And the Lord answered, I will not destroy. And then Abraham began modestly asking God once more again, if there were only 45 good people found about the dwelling of the city. And then the father said, I would not destroy it then. Then he said to the Lord, let not your anger be against me, and I will speak. I yet am the dust, and am I'm sorry, I yet am our dust and ashes, have taken it up upon myself to speak with you. Suppose there were 30 found in the city, will you destroy it? And the father said he would not. He would spare it. The city. And humbling himself before God once more again, he asked him, if there was 20 people found amongst the evil, would you spare the city? And God said he would not destroy it if there were 20 found. So Abraham respectfully spoke to God again and asked him, suppose there were only 10 found amongst the evil in the city. And God said he would not destroy the city. Now God told him he would destroy Sodom for the sake of the 10, and left him and went on his way. So the two angels set off on the journey to Sodom and reached the city's gates by noon. They traveled to Lot's house. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them. Okay, now Lot saw them, and he arose to meet them, and bowed himself before them, their face to the ground, and said to them, please turn into your servant's house, and spend the night. Wash your feet, sleep. Then early you can go on your way. And they said they want to spend the night in the city open square, like the two squared, but he insisted strongly to join him inside his home. And the two angels listened to Lot's request and was welcome into his home. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they all ate. Now, as they wrestled in to go into rest after the meal, all the men of Sodom, young to old, came, all of them from every quarter surrounding the house of Lot, and they demanded that the two strangers come. The two strangers that arrived into town to come outside. I'm sorry, fam. I know I just got one more pick on it. One more when they were actually in the city. So now as they rested to get in the rest after the meal, all the men of Sodom, young to old, came all of them from every quarter surrounded Lot's house, and they demanded that the two strangers who arrived into town will come outside so that we can know them carnally. And the definition of carnally is to have sex intercourse with someone. So the men young to old of Sodom were homosexuals and practiced homosexuality. Is now this is the outcry God was talking about for Sodom. So they cried out for the two strangers to come out, and Lot stepped out his front door, locking it behind him himself, and pleaded with the men of Sodom, offering his two virgin daughters. Man, and you know they got to be homosexuals. What man do you know gonna turn away a virgin? You know what I'm saying? A man turning away a virgin? Come on now, family. Really? Really? I wasn't trying to insert that much stuff in here, but family, are you listening to this? Are you listening to this? The men of Sodom, they don't even want a virgin. Family, I'm telling my sons right now, I'm blessing them to where God will bless them with a virgin wife. Hallelujah, amen, family. A virgin wife, family. Now that is something that's sacred and sanctified in the world that should be, but you don't see it, family. You don't see people trying to hold on to be sacred. Okay, now, oh, that's what I wanted. I'm sorry. It's just I know I got this one picture real quick. Hold on, family. Thank you for spending your time with me. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for taking this sit down of the patriarch, the father of the faith, family. So I am pleased that you are sitting with your brother and you are getting this knowledge up. Now, so let's go back up now. Now, to know them carnally. Now, the definition of carnally is to have sex intercourse with someone, the men to young to old to soft. See me, okay, family. Let me stop it real quick right here too, because I gotta tell y'all how I feel, family. I gotta be honest with you. Now, I believe these old men force these younger men to be gay. I really do, family. I think it's different than the society that they tell the little kids to be gay, but I believe the men of Sodom force these young men to be gay, and that's not cool, family. It's not cool, family. It's not like that. I'm sorry, family. It's not cool at all. So I believe that the young men in Sodom was forced to be that way. Not like in this society today where they tell them it's okay for them to be that way. In this society, they tell them that it's okay for you to be that way. In Sodom, they made sure that they was that way. I see it growing to that level every single day with the way that the world is, and it's a sad business, family. It is a sad business. It is, family. Okay, now where was I at now? So the young to old of Sodom were homosexuals, and they practiced homosexuality. This is the outcry God was talking about for Sodom. So they cried out for the two strangers to come out, and Lot stepped out his front door, locking it behind him, and he pleaded with the man of Sodom, offering his two virgin wives. They don't even want a virgin, family. They don't even want a virgin, family. I don't understand that. Okay, now, up to the men of Sodom, he offered his two virgin daughters up to the men of Sodom, and they promised to deal with him even more harshly than they swore they would do to the two men. So they passed about him hard against the man Lot, and then they came near to break down the door. So the two angels pulled Lot back into the house. So the two angels pulled Lot back into the house, and they struck the men of Sodom, young to old, to great with blindness, and they searched until they became weary, groping in the dark, blind, searching for the door of Lot's house. We ain't even got that much more, family. We almost finished, family. This whole series on Abraham. It's almost done, family. Thank you for being with your brother. Thank you for holding on with your brother. Thank you for staying in with your brother, family. Thank you, family. I really appreciate you for this. For your brother got love for you. Hallelujah. Amen. For our Father, he is worthy. Now, then the two angels asked Lot if he had anyone else living in the city of Sodom, and he told them about his son-in-law and his daughter, and they told him to get your people out of the city, because the mission is to bring forth of the complete annihilation of the city, ordered by the God of heavens and the earth, and he will destroy it because the outcry has grown great against him. So Lot he tried to warn his son-in-law of the calamity that befall the city, but his son-in-law took the matters as a joke and did not believe his father-in-law. So when morning dawned, I will say this: God mercy is something else, family. You gotta have his mercy in your life, family. You have to. God mercy is something amazing, family. So when morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry and take his daughters and his wife and leave the city, for they will be destroyed in the destruction of the city. And Lot and his family lingered on, and the two angels took them by the hand, by his daughter's hand and his wife's hand, and they led them out of the city, because the Lord was being merciful to Lot and his family. So the angels told Lot to escape to the mountains with your family, yeast you die. But Lot was scared some evil would overtake him in the mountains. would overtake him in the mountains, and he would die. So he asked the two angels, would he have good permission from God to flee to a small city, Zoar, and they give him permission and urged him to go quickly, for they could not bring on the annihilation of Sodom and Gomorrah. By that time he reached Zoar, the sun had risen upon the earth. Got one more, family. I'm sorry. I just seen it. Okay, now could not bring on the annihilation of Sodom and Gomorrah by that time. Lot reached Zoar. Okay, we read that. Okay. Risen up the earth, then the Lord. Oh, no, there you go, right there. It was right there now. Gave permission and quickly could not bring on the annihilation of Sodom. By the time Lot reached Zoar, the sun had risen. The earth, then the Lord rained down fire and brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay, now he rained down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah from God out of heaven. So he wiped Sodom and Gomorrah off the face of the earth, and it did not exist, reducing these two cities to ash and rubble, a wasteland, inhabitable to life, to flourish. But Lot's wife looked back and was turned into a pillar of salt for her disobedience to what God commanded her when they were off to flee, not to look back. Okay, did that one. Take a little bit more water, family. I'm still here. You're still good. We only got a little bit. We only got a little bit more pages. The life of Abram is almost up, family. We're almost there, family. It's almost done. Locked, sent, and delivered, family. And you know your father is good because he going to come back with that revelation. I'm trying to tell you how good your father is, family. And you looking like, what kind of revelation could we possibly get out this story? You know what I'm saying? What kind of revelation could we possibly get? It's so many different lessons in this story. You know what I'm saying? There's so many. See, I can know the lessons. It's up to your father to give me the revelation. Now, when he give me the revelation, I'm gonna add that in there too. But the lessons, he know I'm strong enough to find those. But God has to come through for that revelation, family. That's why I say it's a beautiful thing. Now, so Abraham, hold on, family, I'm sorry. Okay, now, so Abraham, he rose early in the place where he stood with the Almighty, looking upon Sodom and Gomorrah, and in the plain of the land, and he saw smoke rising out of the land like a great furnace. It came to pass when God destroyed all of the plains and the lands of Sodom and Gomorrah, he remembered Lot fleeing to the city of Zoar, but Lot was scared to remain in Zoar because he feared his life. And moved into the mountains with him and his two daughters. But Lot was scared to remain in Zoar. Okay, we did that one. Okay, now, and he dwelt in the mountains. Now, the oldest. Okay, now, where was I? No, Zohar, because he feared his life and moved into the mountains with him and his two daughters, and they dwelt in the caves in the mountains with their father. Now the oldest daughter said to the youngest, your father is old, and there is no one man left in the earth to come into us as the custom of the people of the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, so we may preserve the lineage of our father. So they made the father drink wine that night, and the firstborn laid with her father, and he did not know when she laid down or arose. And she told her younger sister what she done, and they made their father drink wine again the next night. And the youngest laid with her father, and he did not know when she laid down or when she arose. Now both the daughters of Lot with their father's child. When the first bore her child, she named him Moab, and he became the father of the Moabites to this day. The youngest all also she gave birth to a boy, and she named him Beth Ben Am Bimai. I'm sorry, family. That's a hard one to pronounce right here. Don't let me put out the computer on it. Bimai. And he is the father of Ammons. Now Abram journeyed from there, and he traveled to the south and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and they stayed in Gur. Now by Sarah's custom to her husband, told Abimelech. Do we got a fixation of Abimelech? I don't think so. I don't think we had Abimelech. Is that a king Abimelech? I think it was. No, it wasn't. But it was a land. It was still a king Abimelech in the land. Where is they at right now? They traveled to the hold on. Where is they exactly at? I think he's in the land of Canaan right now, family. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he is in the land of Canaan because he. Let's read it back. No, he's in Kadesh. My bad. He's in Kadesh. My bad. Now, Kadesh, Abimelech. He's the king. Remember that. Now, Sarah's custom to her husband to tell Abimelech that Abram was his sister. So he sent for her and took her. Now God came to Abimelech by a dream at night and told him he was a dead man for taking Sarah, for she was a married woman. It At this time Abimelech did not come near her, nor make her his wife, and he asked God if he would kill him, the righteous. She told him a lie and not the truth. And he told Abimelech, in the integrity of your heart, I will withhold you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not let you touch her. Therefore restore the man's wife, for Abraham is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you don't, you will surely die, and all who are in your household. So he arose the next morning, remembering what God gave him in a dream of he told the men of the kingdom, and they were afraid over the sayings. So he called for Abraham to be brought to him, and he asked him, what have you done to us? How have I offended you to where you have done this to me and my kingdom? A great sin as this you have not. I'm sorry, family. A kingdom, a great sin as this. What do you have to say for this? things that you have done that to me and my household. And Abraham said, I thought that the fear of God was not in the sight of the men of Gur, and they would kill me for the sake of my wife Sarah. But truly, she is my sister. She is the daughter of my father. She is not the daughter of my mother. And she became his wife. And as God asked me to wander away from my father's house, and I said to her, do this as a kindness to me. So wherever they went, it didn't matter where Abraham went with Sarah. That was the custom that he made her. He made her to do that because he knew it could kill him. It could cost him his life. Darn it, they did that again. You seen how I jumped up there like that? I wasn't even trying to do that. And we talked about Melchizedek. We did. We did talk about Melchizedek. He was the high priest of what was he the high priest of? What city? Was it what is the city name? Starts with an S. Silo, what is it? Salem. He's a Melchizedek is the king of Salem. Okay, where is that? Where is it? I'm sorry, family. Give me just 1 second. I'm sorry. Just leave it right here for a second. Now, okay, now because his wife and is not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. Okay, now then Abimelech took sheep, ox, male and female servants and gave them to Abraham and restored his wife Sarah to him and told Abraham to dwell in any part of the kingdom that pleased him. He told Sarah he gave to her brother 1,000 pieces of silver. This vindicates you before all who are there with you, before everybody, because he rebuked her. He rebuked her for lying to him. That's why he rebuked Sarah. And you seen what he said. He said, I gave a thousand pieces of gold. He's talking about Abraham. You know what I'm saying? She lied. She said that was her brother. You know what I'm saying? They spent some time together. You know what I'm saying? They was with each other for some times. But God got love for Abimelech because he didn't let him lay with her like that. Because if he would have laid with her, God would have killed him for that. Okay, 16. Okay, we did that one. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants, and they bore children. For the Lord closed the womb of all the house of Abimelech because of Sarah. So the Lord visited Sarah and did for her the thing he said that he would. Okay, now. Okay, now did for her the thing that he said that he would do for her. She was with child, conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the set time, father anointed. And Abraham called the boy named Isaac, and time Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah nursed Isaac in her older years. Okay, now Abraham's son. Okay, now Set time, father anointed. Okay, we did that. Sarah nursed Isaac in her older years as a woman, 90 years of age. So she nursed her child in disbelief of the promise God gave to Abraham so long ago. Abraham made a great feast the day Isaac was wounded. To wound a child, that means to it don't the baby's not drinking milk anymore. Okay, child is no longer drinking from the mother's milk. Okay, Sarah hated Ishmael. She did, family. She hated Ishmael. Okay, now Abraham made a great feast. Okay, we did that. Now Sarah hated Ishmael. He was scoffing her, and she asked Abraham to cast out the bondsmen, cast, because she did not want Ishmael to be a heir with her son Isaac. And Abraham was deeply troubled over the problem with his two sons. So God came to him and told him not to be displeased over these matters, for my covenant is with Isaac, but will make Ishmael a great nation, because he also is your seed. So he took bread and a skin of water and put them on her shoulders. He gave it to the boy, and they departed through the wilderness of Beersheba. And the water and the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under some scrubs, went and sat across from him. Hagar was saddened and did not know what to do, so she was in distress, and a voice, and in her voice she lifted out, and she wept. And God heard her and called to her out of heaven and said to her, what I'm sorry, family, I got one more picture for this. Hold on, family. You know your brother. Okay, now, okay, out of heavens, and said to her, what I'm sorry, for I hear the voice, and I see the young lad. Where is he? Lift up the lad, place him up, and I will make him a great nation. So God opened up Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she filled up her skin with water and gave the young boy drink. And God was with the young lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and he became a great archer. He lived in the land of Paran. His mother chose an Egyptian to marry as a wife, to give him as a wife. Now at this time, Abimelech and Thickle, the commander of the king's army, the Chaldean army, not Abimelech's army, okay, spoke with Abraham. So we see that God is with you in all that you do. So Abimelech asked Abram to swear by God. I'm sorry, family. Okay, there we go. Here we go, right here. Because you got Abimelech, you got Abraham, and you got Fickle. This guy got a weird name. Okay, now, and with you. Okay, where was I at? Okay. Now asked Abraham to swear by God that he would not deal falsely with him or his offspring, or with the future generations of his descendants, the prosperity of his loin, according to his kindness that you have done to me in the land in which you have dwelt. And Abraham said, I will swear. Then Abraham rebuked Abimelech for the well his servant seized. And Abimelech told Abraham he was not aware of a way of. Now let me stop right here. Now this would be something trivial. This would be something trivial that I took out. Now when Abraham was in the land, and he be digging, his servants be digging all these wells up so they can get some water. Anytime they dig a well, here come Abimelech people, the servants be telling them, oh, this our well. Oh, you can't have this water. Oh, this our well. We dig this is ours. So it'd be like 4 or 5 times Abraham, he be trying to dig these wells so they can have some water. And here come Abimelech people come and steal them from Abraham. But it had to be up to like 4 times, and they finally left Abraham alone. That's just something trivial that I took out the story. You see what I mean? That little bit of time of reading all of that to just get that's a whole page, family. I'm gonna be serious with you. Just the little how I broke it down about them taking the well, that could be 2 pages, family. It could be, family. All of that. So anything trivial, I'm telling you, I'll just take it out. Them fighting over a well, that doesn't mean anything to me, family. But here you go. Here you go up in here. You got Abraham. And he mad. He mad at Abimelech for all the things that his servants put him through with them wells. So you could say that they was putting Abraham through it over some wells. They was. Now, Abraham, where is that? Seized, and Abimelech told Abraham he was not aware of any of these things. And why did you not bring these matters to me? This is my first time hearing of these affairs. So Abraham took a sheep and an ox and gave them to Abimelech, and they made a covenant. And Abram set 7 female sheep by themselves, and Abimelech asked him, what is the meaning of this? And Abraham told him, the 7 female sheeps, ewes, they are my witness that I have done this well. I have dug this well. Therefore, they called that place Beersheba because of the oath they both made there. So Abimelech and Phicol went on their way, and Phicol went back to the land of the Philistines with his army. So Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. So Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for many days. Now God came to Abraham for the test of his life. Okay, hold on, family. Because we almost finished, family. It's almost, I told you, we break down every single thing. And I'm telling you, your father is going to come back with that revelation for you. He always does, because he is a great God, mighty, just, and true. Blessed be his name in Yeshua, precious name for you. For Yah, he is worthy. Now, so Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for many days. Now God came to Abraham for the test of his life, because he said to take your son Isaac. Take your son Isaac, and whom you love, and go to the land of my. I'm sorry, fam. I got a tongue twist over here. Myra. Let's just say it's Myra. My tongue is Myra, and offer them there as a brute offering on one of the mountains of my choosing. So Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, and took some wood for the brute offering, 2 servants and Isaac, and they traveled to the place in which God told him in the mountains. So Abraham, we did that. We did that. 18. Did that. Almost done, family. The story of Isaac. I'm sorry. The story of Abraham. Almost done, family. We only got a couple more pages and it's done, family. His whole story, family. That fast. Now, but we have been, an hour and 25 minutes into it. That's all right, though. Traveled and made it to the place, and he lifted up his eyes and saw that place away. And he told his two servants to stay with the donkeys, and him and Isaac will go off to pray, and that they would soon return. So Abraham took wood and gave it to his son to carry for the brute offering. He took a knife and the fire he had already in his hand. I bet you it's all the way up at the top. Hold on, fam. Got one more. Where is it at? No, I don't see it. No, I don't see it. Okay, now, so Abraham took wood and gave it to his son to carry for the brute offering. I know it's in there though. I know it's got to be in here. That's why I don't like it. Because I know, there it go, right there. It was right in my face. Now, so Abraham took wood and gave it to his son to carry for the brute offering. He took a knife and the fire that was already in his hand, and they went off. Isaac asked his father, where was the goat for the sacrifice? And Abraham told him that the Almighty will provide. And they went to the place that God, the God of heavens, told Abraham, and he built a altar there and placed the wood there, and bound his young son Isaac, laid him on the altar upon the wood, and Abraham stretched out his hands to take the knife to slay his son, and the angel called out of heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He called out from heaven, and he said there, and Abraham said, Here I am. And the angel of the Lord told him not to lay your hands on the young boy. Okay, now he said, Here I am. Now the young boy. Now I know you will never keep anything back from me, not even your only son, given to you. Abraham lifted up his eyes, and there his son he seen a ram caught in the thick of the bushes by his horns. So he got the ram and offered it up as a brute offering instead of his son, and he called that place, the Lord will provide. Then the angel of God called him a second time out of heaven and said to Abraham, since you have done this thing and not withheld your only son, I swear on my own name, I will multiply and bless your descendants, all of your descendants, as the stars of the heavens, as the sands by the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gates of your enemies, and your seed, all nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his two servants, and they picked up and set off to Beersheba. Sarah lived 127 years, and she died. Okay. Okay, give me 1 second, family. I know I got this in here. I know I got it. Now, Sarah lived 127 years in Karthruth, Arbania, and Herban, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham went to into mourning, and he wept for his wife Sarah. Abraham went to be in the presence of the sons of Heth, saying to them, I am but a foreigner and a visitor amongst you, to ask for a place in the land to bury my dead away from my sight. Okay, let me give you one more picture on that, family. Hold on, family. Okay, where is it? Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna find it, family. That's not it. That's all right. I couldn't find it. Okay, okay, the land to bury. Where was it? Where is it? Saying to them, I am but a foreigner and a visitor amongst you, to the sons of Heth, to ask for a place in the land to bury my dead away from my sight. And the sons of Heth hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince amongst us. I gotta get a drink of water, family. Okay, where was I at now? Okay, now hear me, my lord. You are a mighty prince amongst us. Pick the land of your choosing. We will not withhold this from you. He brought the cave of Machpelah and Ephraim, the son of Zohar, and brought it at a full price. And Ephraim the Hittite answered Abram in the presence of the sons of Heth and his people, and sold the land to Abraham to use as a burial place for his dead. And Abraham bowed himself down before the people and the land and the sons of Heth. And Abraham bought the land for 400 shekels of silvers. Now let me stop here. Do you know how much money 400 shekels is, family? Now back in their day, that's about 114. How do I say? 114. 100. 114. $114,000, family, and $86. For real, family. That's how much 400 shekels is worth. $100,000, family. 114,000, family. Okay, let's get. I just thought that was interesting. You know what I'm saying? How much is a shekel actually worth? And they break everything down to a dollar to weight, family. They're not playing, family. Now, okay, now. And now, where was we at? And Abraham bowed himself down before the people in the land and the sons of Heth. And Abraham brought the land for 400 shekels of silver. That's 400 shekels of silver. Just imagine if it was gold, family. That's $100,000, family. You know what I'm saying? That's $100,000. So imagine if those shekels was actually gold and not silver. You know what I'm saying? Now, all these trees of the land was also Abraham's. The trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, that surrounded the borders, to Abraham as a possession. And after all this, he buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave. Okay, let's go to the cave of Machpelah. Where is it at? Darn it. I'm sorry about them. I'm sorry about that, family. I'm not intentionally doing that. Them people ain't giving me no money. If they was giving me some money, we'd have a whole lot of more stuff going on, family. We sure would, family. Now, check this out. Now, I definitely wouldn't have no people come through on the show like that, family. I'm sorry. Now, okay, now Abraham as a possession. We did that. Okay, now back to this Machpelah. Now after all this, he buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah in Hebron, what was the property of Abraham's. Now, when Abraham was well in years and advanced in years, and he made his oldest servant. Okay, hold on, family. Where is it at? Hold on, family. Hold on. His oldest servant. Okay, we can just use. Okay, we can just use this one then, since I can't find the other one. Where is it? Just give me 1 second, family. I almost got it. Okay, now when Abram was in years and advanced in years, I know I got another better one than that, because that's after the fact. There you go, right there. Now Abram was well in years and advanced in years, and he made his oldest servant and made him swear by the God of heaven and the God of the earth that you will not take a wife for my son, a daughter of the Canaanites, among who we dwell, and you shall go to my family and pick a wife for my son Isaac. And this servant said to his self, perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me back to my master's house, to his land. Now let me stop it right here real quick. Now, before this time, God already came to Abraham and told him that he want him to pick a wife in your father's house. So this was already ordained by God. You know what I'm saying? It was, family. Now that I took that out, but I still got to tell the story, that little bit of part. You know what I'm saying? I took that part out. You know what I'm saying? It was ordained by God what he is doing. So the dream that he had told his servant that he would be blessed, but servant still doubt. Okay, now get back up in this. That's the only thing that's out of the story. Now Isaac and the servant. Now where is it at? Where is it at? Okay, perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me back to my master's house, to the land. And Abraham told his servant not to take his son there, but to bring her only, how to be released. I'm sorry. And the only way he can be released out of the oath, if he brings her back from my father's house, or she does not want to come back with you. So his servant put his hand under his thigh of his master Abraham and swore to him concerning these matters. So he took off on his journey to the master's father's house to pick a wife for his son. He took 10 donkeys, 10 camels with his master's goods of his house, and departed to the land of Mesopotamia, to the house of Nahor. And that's his brother, he made his camels kneel down outside the city by the wall. And the reason why I break down these everybody in the Bible, family, because a lot of people get confused. They get confused on the characters. They don't know who they are. Well, I can't call them characters, but the people in the Bible, the people of the Bible, they don't know their story completely to understand what's going on. That's why I love that your father gives me the power to break down their whole complete life and every single thing in it. I like it, family. I really do. Because we're all okay. It's been an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, but we went through the whole complete story of his life, though. Now, when the evening time, the women came out to draw water, and the servant asked the God of the master, "O Lord God, please give me success this day, and show my master Abraham kindness, Behold, I stilled here by the well of the water, as the daughters of the men of the city come to draw water. Let it be the woman, I say, please let down your pitcher so I can drink. And she says, drink, and I will also give water to your camels. Let her be the one you have anointed for my master Isaac, and I will know you have shown my master kindness. So Rebekah was the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Michelle, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother. Okay, now brother came now. Rebecca was a beautiful to behold, a virgin. No man knew her, and she went down and filled her pitcher, and she drunk. My Lord knew when the camel was. I'm sorry, filled his pitch. Oh no, I skipped the whole line. Okay, a virgin. No man knew her, and she went down and filled his pitcher and said, "Drink, my Lord." Now, when the camels was finished drinking, to see if the Lord had a prospered the journey, he took a golden nose ring that weighed a half of a shekel, two bracelets for her waist, weighing 10 shekels of gold, and asked, "Whose daughter are you?" She's And is there room in your father's house for me to lodge? So she told him how she was Abraham's niece, the daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, and she told him they had room for him and his 10 camels to lodge. Then Abraham's servant bowed down his head and worshipped the Lord and said, "Blessed be the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his mercy and truth toward my master. The Lord has led me to my master's brethren." Now Bethel's oldest son, Bethel's oldest son, ran to meet the servant at the well. He seen the nose rings and the bracelets on his sister's waist, and heard the words of his sister, saying, the man spoke to me that he want to the man she found by the well, and he told him to come be blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? I have prepared the house and a place for your camels. Now they went back to Rebekah's father's house, Nahor, and rested, and food and watered the camels, and they rested and washed their feet from their journey. Last bit, family. Last tiny little bit, family. That's it. That's finished. So Isaac brought her into. Oh no, I skipped the page. Hold on. Now, I'm sorry, I skipped the page. Sorry. Food was given to them to eat, but the man refused to eat until they journeyed on the behalf of their master Abraham. And he told them that God has blessed his master and has made him great and wealthy and was rich. God gave him flocks and herds and silver and gold and male and female servants and camels and donkeys. As Sarah bore his master a son named Isaac, and he made him to swear by the God of heaven and the earth not to give his son a wife of the Lord of the land. And you shall travel to my father's house and country and pick for my son a wife of my father's house, and not a woman of the land of Canaanites where we live. Nahor and Bethel said, we cannot deal with you good or bad, because these things come from the Lord. Take Rebekah and take her to be your master's your master's son's wife. So basically, Nahor and Bethel was saying, even if we want to tell you something bad, we can't because we already see God's hand in it. Now, if I wanted to keep Rebecca from you, maybe I could have had did that if God's hand wasn't in it. So they're not gonna disrespect God, Nahor or Bethel, and they gonna do the request of they brother. You know what I'm saying? His brother. That's why he's dealing bad. He's not going to deal bad with them at all. Okay, now Nahor and Bethel said, we cannot deal with you, good or bad, because these things come from the Lord. Take Rebekah and take her to be your master's son's wife, as the Lord has spoken. And he heard their words, and he was worshiping the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. Then he brought out jewelry of silver and jewelry of gold, and clothes, and gave them to Rebekah, and gave precious things to her mother and her brother, and wedding gifts. And the men with them drunk and ate, and they were merry, and stayed the night, and they wanted Rebekah to stay 10 more days, her sister and brother, but he told me not. The servant told to not keep me from my journey. The Lord has prospered. So they sent her away with her nurses and Abraham's servant, and they blessed her by saying, let your children be 100,000 and 10,000, and let them possess the gates of those who hate them. Now one day Isaac was in the fields, and he was meditating in the evening, and he lifted his eyes, and he saw Rebekah, and Rebekah lifted her eyes. Okay, hold on, family. Let me throw this last little picture up in here, because this is a wrap, family. Because that's also him too, family. That's him. Where is it at? There you go, right there. Now, okay, now take Rebekah and take her. Okay, we did that. Okay, jewelry, we did that. Okay, Rebekah stayed 10 more days, her sister and brother, but he told them, do not keep me from my journey. The Lord has prospered. So they sent her away with her nurses and Abraham's servants, and they blessed her by saying, let her children be 100 and thousands and 10,000s, and let them possess the gates of their enemies. Now, one day Isaac was in the fields, and he was meditating in the evening, and he lifted his eyes, and he saw Rebekah, and Rebekah lifted her eyes, and she saw and asked who this man was walking in the field to meet us. The servant said, this is my master. And she took a veil and covered her face. And the servant told him all the things that had happened, that his father had made him do, the power of the Almighty God. Okay, hold on. You know what's something that's interesting that I find kind of interesting about the word and people who say the word is that any sister, any black woman that was married to anybody to any man and to any patriarch in the Bible, they will show you her as being a sister. They will tell you the truth on her. You know what I'm saying? They might not tell you the truth on Ephratites, but they'll sure tell you the truth on a sister in the Bible, family. When she married a great man, you know what I'm saying? They would show that sister in the Bible. They would all of the pigmentations of all the anytime you see the reference of that person, you know what I'm saying? You would see a sister, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't say, oh, well, it was this type of woman, or if it was this type of woman, it would always be a sister. But If they would show you a sister, why won't they show you a black man? Because this is how you know, once more again, they hiding the fact that the Lord was a black man. You know what I'm saying? They'll show you a sister, but they won't show you a brother. That's kind of funny to me, family. Now Isaac brought her into his mother's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Abraham took for himself a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore seven sons. Isaac put gifts. I'm sorry. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac, but gave gifts to all his sons from his concubines, and set them eastward away from their brother Isaac. And these are the sames. I'm sorry. This is the sum of years that Abraham lived. He lived 175 years, and he died with many years given to him. And he gave up the ghost, and gave up his last breath, and was gathered up for to be. I'm sorry, family. Now he gave up the ghost, and he was gathered up to be with his people, and they buried him in Machpelah, in Moriah, in the field of Ephraim the Hittite. They The life and death of Abraham, the father of the faith. Now you just went through his whole life, family, and I thank you for spending the time with your brother. And like I said, your father is a good God. He's a mighty God, and he is true. So next time we pick up this series again, he will allow us, family. He will allow us to go through all the different many lessons that we'll learn from the life of Abraham, family. Learn from his life. And your father, he is a good God. He's a mighty God. He's a just God, and he is true. So he's going to have some revelation in store for us, family, for us, through the life of Abram. Next time he give us the power, the strength. Father, please give me the power and the strength to pick up these series again and go through all the many different lessons and revelations in Yeshua precious name, Father, for you are worthy. So yes, your father is going to give us the revelation, next lessons and revelations. It's going to be a beautiful thing, family. Come make sure that you get yourself some. Maybe I won't go through all the lessons for a whole hour. I don't know, family. It's all on your father, what he allows me to do. But family, don't kid yourself. Come get some of this 9 o'clock prayer hour to be in the symbol with your brothers and sisters who love the Father the way that you do. Come get this intimate time, this omission time. Come get this time to be in the symbol, in the spirit with your brothers and your sisters who love the Most High the way that you do, the God of all creation. So come be with your family. Come magnify and edify your Father at this 9 o'clock. Anytime, family. Anytime from 9 to 10. You are more than welcome with your family, with your babies, with your mama, with your daddy, with your brothers, with your sisters, or just by yourself, family, because it is a beautiful thing to come be in the symbol at this 9 o'clock prayer hour. Now, peace and blessings be upon all my brothers and sisters out there. Y'all make sure y'all have a good night. This has been your brother, Jehoshaphat.